So, y'all, I'm on my way to North Charleston, South Carolina. I wanted to come in here and deal with this Jacob Blake situation and not directly deal with the actual cops. 3Ks don't get this shit fucked up and what they did, but deal with how America, 3Ks don't get this shit fucked up, Incorporated, continues to let this be something that is an understood thing, that people are going to defend the cops. They're going to defend the actions of the cops. This is the climate of the society in which we exist. Now, I didn't watch the video. I read about what went on in the video, but y'all know I don't get into watching these types of videos. Apparently, Brother Blake had broken up a fight between two women in his community. Cops showed up. They were instructing him to, of course, comply as they do, with guns drawn on him. He went to his vehicle. His children were out there. And he reached inside of his vehicle and they proceeded to shoot him in the back 7 times. Now, the conversation is going to be looked at because he reached into his vehicle as to, well, he shouldn't have done that. That's how, if you're black, that's how you're looked at. And you need to understand that that's how you're looked at. What happens when the white society, they see these things and they say things like, well, you know, you should just comply. We are out here getting shot too. You'll see these types of comparisons. And what they leave out, the biggest part that they leave out, is that in order for a white man or woman to be treated that way by the cops, they have to be, you know, AK-47, semi-automatic weapons or guns. They have to be engaged in a full-blown shootout with the cops. A full-blown shootout. And even then, they may not use lethal force. I've seen videos over the years where a white man has a gun they can clearly see. They don't use lethal force to subdue that white man. And this is the conversation that, you know, these caves refuse to acknowledge the reality of, well, y'all motherfuckers got to be, you know, strapped with a goddamn bazooka for a cop to shoot you and try to kill you. You see what I'm saying? Big difference when they talk about compliance. And particularly when they talk about compliance, acting like they are people who comply with police. That's not who you are, cave. Who are you fooling? I don't even know who they trying to convince that this is how they conduct themselves when they have run-ins with the police. Y'all do not comply. Y'all talk to these motherfuckers like they work for you, which is your legal right, because essentially they do work for you, but you talk to them like they're your fucking employees, and you know you do. And I don't know why we continue as black people to allow these motherfuckers to come out here and give their opinions in situations like this, and then we'll pick up their talking points and opinions as well, and we'll run with those talking points ourselves. Problematic. I've been unfriending the fuck out of motherfuckers over on Facebook over opinions about this and how Brother Blake should have complied. Now, here's what I'm saying. I wouldn't have done what he did. I wouldn't have went to, I got guns drawn on me. I'm not going to reach into no car, into no vehicle. I'm not going to do any type of reaching. It's not what I'm going to do. I'm not even going to turn my back on the weapons. That's not what I'm going to do. But I'm not going to sit here and say because that's what he did, he deserved to be shot in the back 7 times. Now, he wasn't killed. He was in critical condition. his father came and spoke out and said that now he's paralyzed from the waist down. Because I wouldn't have done that does not justify the use of lethal force against him. There are several things I see and I read about it I may not do. But that does not mean I'm going to say it's okay what happened here, because I wouldn't have done that. And that seems to be where we are as a society, and particularly black society, because I understand what the cave society is going to do. Because you've been begging them and telling them that your life matters, and they still don't give a fuck about your life at all, actually. Because your life is supposed to be that of servitude. If you step outside of the bounds of said servitude, if you stand up for yourself, if you get quote unquote out of line, then automatically your life, it doesn't mean anything. If you're not being of service to, entertaining the caves, your life has no value. You can scream Black Lives Matter all you want to. Your black life only matters in a position of servitude. That's all it is. That's what it's been the whole time. That's why they decided to hate you. You didn't do anything to them. You've done nothing. Servitude is the only position that your life to them, in their opinion, in their eyes, is going to matter. Period. That's just how it is. So understand society looks at you like this. Understand that when you're in these types of situations with the cops, understand that you need to be a little more intelligent about how you move. I'm not telling you to allow yourself to be disrespected. I'm not telling you to comply with everything these motherfuckers are saying, because they're only human. Now, we understand that somehow in this society, the so-called blue lives are upper. They're put up over every other life unless that blue life is black. Interestingly enough. When you are a cave blue life, your life matters more than that of any other life. Even though you're only human. Even though you just, you out here and you have a gun license. There's nothing, none of your equipment that you have is something that can't just be bought. I mean, you're not exceptional at all. But blue lives are up over, white blue lives are up over every other life. So I'm not saying allow yourself to be disrespected by these regular motherfuckers, but we have to be a little bit more intelligent about how we engage in situations where guns have been pulled. Once they pull those guns out, they're looking for a reason to murder you. They're looking for a reason. Once those guns are drawn, everything you do is aggressive. Everything. Whether it's run, whether it's reaching for something, everything that you do is aggressive and justifies you being shot. You must understand that once those guns are drawn, that's just what they're aiming to murder you. And they know that they'll get away with it. This will be viewed. So before we even get to the would-be investigation and all this shit, this is going to be viewed as a justified shooting because he reached. All shootings, and we can just go through history here now. We can just look at every other shooting. If you reach, it's a justified shooting every time. That's what they're going to say. Point blank, plain and simple, they're going to say it's justified no matter what. You have people that are making videos, and as usual, the caves are going to be making videos talking about his criminal past. Now, I didn't dig much into his criminal past at all. I just was reading that this is what people are talking about. He was a criminal. He's had a criminal past. And it bothers me that that's the conversation, not from the caves, from black folk. Because what the caves do is problematic, but not as problematic as what our own people do and the things that we say. They did not murder him because he was a criminal. It's not what happens. They didn't have to murder him at all. They could have used non-lethal force to subdue him. They murdered him because, or not murdered him, my apologies. They shot him 7 times. Tried to murder him. They shot him 7 times because he was a black man. That's the reality. Not his record, not anything like that. But this becomes a conversation. And it's problematic that this becomes a conversation. But we've allowed this to be the conversation. Because even our own people will say that. Again, you may not have done what he did. You may not have reached. You may not have turned your back, guns drawn on you. You may have, did whatever they asked you to do. But that doesn't mean that it was justified for them to murder him like that. That doesn't mean that. And I don't see how anybody could be arguing that other than the caves. I see why they would. But it was 3 of them. They could have tackled him, tased him, other things than murdering people. Shot him in the leg. If they're going to turn to shooting. But these aren't the things that happen when black people are involved in these types of situations. That's the reality of this thing. And we've allowed this to be the conversation that is had because even our own people will come and justify this type of behavior. That's what we do. That's how we do it. And to me, that shit is so trash. That bothers me more than anything. It's just seeing how our people will allow it to happen, be cool with it happening, and say, well, he just should have complied. It's not about that. It's not about that at all. It's about the fact that the tactics that are used against you are used against you because you're black. And that should be the conversation. Now, I don't know if this brother is going to pursue suing the police department for their use of excessive force. Again, I don't know what's going to come of it because he did reach. I don't know what's going to come of that. We have protests happening now up in Wisconsin. If I'm not mistaken, it was Wisconsin where it happened. I even saw some footage being put out here now that white supremacist groups have taken to the streets where they were protesting and opened fire on the protesters. White supremacist group. Now, this is allegedly. I don't know, because again, the way this government works, I don't trust a lot of things that goes on out here. But I did see that is something that is taking place. I don't know if they're government sanctioned group. I'm sure they possibly are, because the government does sanction these groups to go out here and harm, brutalize, and murder black people. They will pick up and choose up really these white supremacist groups to go out here and enact things that they can't outrightly do. They can have done and then act like they got a big problem with it, play that Jedi mind trick on us. But I'm above that. So I would argue that group was sanctioned by the government to go out here and have people acting in retaliation mode. And to me, that's perfectly fine. To retaliate, I don't see anything wrong with that. I know that we speak down on retaliation. We always talk about how emotional retaliation is. But, I mean, you can't just let your people be mowed down like that by a random ass white supremacist group. And when the piece of the video I saw the groups running. Let me just say this to any protesters out here. Stop protesting. If you're showing up without of weapons, stop protesting. Being a peaceful protester is not something to brag about. I disagree with that. That's not something to brag about, because chances are, if you're a peaceful protester, that means you can't defend yourself. You didn't show up with a way to defend yourself. Stop peacefully protesting. They don't care about that shit anyway. It doesn't mean anything. If you're not going out to the streets ready to retaliate against anybody who may bring you harm, then you're not street ready. Stay in the house. It's just that's just how it is. And I'm not trying to be insensitive to the plight of people who are protesting. I'm just saying that these are the type of situations you can end up in when you become what they would call sitting duck. You're sitting ducks, holding up signs that no one cares about anyway. They only respond and react to us tearing shit up anyway. They don't respond to peaceful anything. That's not my fault. They don't respond to peaceful anything. That's the reality. That's the reality. They've never responded to us doing anything peacefully. That's not how it's worked. So if you're peacefully protesting, you're wasting your fucking time anyway. They only respond to us acting like they act. And that's tearing shit the fuck up. And if you're going out there and you're not ready to defend yourself in some type of way, especially if you're going to have children out there, women and children showing up, you need to have weapons on you. That's all it is to it, y'all. Put the sign down and show up with your heat on you. Because now, white supremacist groups, whether they're government sanctioned or not, they know that that's easy target practice for them. Nobody's shooting back. So I would suggest y'all stay out of the streets unless you armed up, unless you got your motherfucking guns on you. Then you don't need to be out in the streets. Period. But that's all the fuck I wanted to say, y'all. About this. Y'all know that this continues to be something that is a reoccurring, this is reoccurring at this point. This has been a reoccurring thing since before I was even born. Where these cops, 3Ks, don't get this shit fucked up, use excessive force where we're concerned. And that's the conversation. Not what we should have done to not have any force used against us. The conversation is, why the fuck is this type of force used against us? Well, not really why. It should be an exposing of this type of force being used against us, while a white man has to be in a has to come with a goddamn grenade launcher and an AK-47 to be shot 7 times. That's the point. And when you have dumb motherfuckers out here, and these are so-called smart people, these conservatives, you have these coons out here who people will deem as intelligent people, who can't even see that that's the conversation. The difference of force used per race, not non-compliance, because non-compliance is synonymous with all races of people are non-compliant to the cops. All races of people are. All of them don't listen to no damn cops. But when we don't listen, when we rebel against certain orders from the cops, lethal force is used on us. That's the conversation. Do not let people continue to slip away and move away from this conversation. I don't give a damn who it is. Because this is what the conversation is. And I have to come in here and frame this because I feel like a lot of times we let the conversation be all over the place. We let it be all over the place and we don't frame it the way it should be framed. Everybody is a part of not complying with police orders. But not everybody is met with the same fucking force in this society due to race. It just, that's the conversation. Not what he did, what he was doing, why he went to his car, what he was reaching for, whether you would have done it or not. A white man would have to be busting shots off at the cops for them to use that type of force. Not might have a gun, is actively shooting a gun. You see. Way different. And that's what we need to make sure the focus of the conversation stays right there. Before y'all know, look, the cops are going to get off because he went and he reached for something. That makes it a justifiable shooting. So go ahead, and if you're going to be mad, I always tell y'all this, go ahead and be mad now. Those cops ain't about that. I think they fired him or, put him on, how they do. Put him on leave and all that shit. But due to investigation, we know what's going to happen, y'all. If you're going to be mad, go ahead and be mad now. No point in waiting on no verdict. I highly doubt he's going to win if he tries to sue the police. Because he did reach. So y'all go ahead and be mad now. I've been mad. I've been waiting for y'all to be mad for a long time now. I've been mad. This is, something that hopefully we kind of focus our energy, because we have a tendency to be scattered all over the place when it comes to keeping our energy focused. But let's make sure this conversation stays where it is. When you hear these conservatives, these black conservatives, these black coons out here that will be speaking about his criminal record and what him reaching and all that shit, ask him to explain to you why a white man or a woman has to be busting off shots before they get shot 7 times anywhere. Because that's what the conversation is about. Ask them to focus on that. But y'all like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Links to follow me on social media in the description box. My condolences goes out to Brother Blake's family and him. I mean, he wasn't murdered, but he is, that's a life-changing injury. Now he's paralyzed from the waist down. So, my condolences goes out to his family. Y'all black people, be smart. Be smart. Once they pull them guns on you, they're ready to kill you. They're looking for a reason. You can fucking sneeze and be shot, and they'll say, well, that's a lethal weapon because corona. I done told y'all, that may sound crazy, but this is where the climate is moving to. Because if you ain't got your face covered right, it's a lethal weapon. They're gonna be using that. And over here, when we putting where we are black first, second, and third, we need to be understanding all of this shit, and we need to be being cautious of all of this shit that's going on out here in an effort to make sure that we can make it home in one piece. This don't mean you being a whole ass nigga and you come out here and justify these cops murdering your people. It means you be a little bit more smart about how you moving out here. That's all it is to it. Shout out Team Rob, y'all already know what the fuck it is. I'm out.